Today's guest is Nigel O'Brien. Nigel is an online health and fitness coach who is originally from Tipperary, Ireland, but now currently resides in Sydney, Australia. So, Nigel, pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome to the Lifestyle Lifters Show.
Thanks, Adrian, and delighted to be on it. So, looking forward to the
Brilliant.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nigel, really looking forward to diving into your backstory and how you got into the fitness and boxing, of course. But before you actually share your backstory, Nigel, share something about yourself that most people do not know.
Oh, well, most people are probably like that follow me and stuff probably would know, Joe, I put up all the videos and stuff, but like really, like I'm really quiet guy, like usually, and like kind of keep to myself, and that's probably the big one, really, like. But most people who know me probably say the opposite. So.
Yeah, gotcha. I guess you're posting obviously daily on social, but
Yeah,
what you're saying, Nigel, somewhat similar to myself. You like to kind of keep to yourself and keep things somewhat quiet.
quieter than 19.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The joys of the social media era that we're in.
Yeah.
And tell me then, Nigel. So going on to your obviously your content. I love the way you post a combination of like nice performance-based work, how to like properly execute exercises, technique tutorials, but you also, which is very unique about you also share some like, insights about boxing, because that's obviously something you do, Nigel. So can you just share a little bit about how you got into the gym, how you got into boxing as well from growing up?
Yeah, so I was probably 9 years old when I first went to the gym. I think my father brought me, and I probably didn't really want to go. So I was like nervous going in, I was shitting it really. And then I was going for a few weeks, and then we started sparring, and I used to when I was younger, I used to even start crying after sparring, And that was it really. So he brought me in, and then I just went from there, and then eventually just started doing fights. I had my first fight when I was 12 years old, let's say. And that was for a Tipperary and Waterford championship. Then I started boxing when I was 15 really, and then had a little break because I went playing GA. When you're younger, just follow the crowd. So
yeah,
the social side of things. And then I came back when I was 18, and then I had a couple of fights when I was 18 again. And that was my last fight until last year when I came back. So it's like a 12-year gap between fights.
Wow. And what made you want to come back then after that 12-year gap?
Well, when I came over here, I was just doing it for fitness and because I just love to do it. And then I got a new coach in the gym I train at now, and he just made me we worked on changing my style, and eventually convinced me to go back fighting again. So I got back in fighting. That's probably one of my biggest achievements, is actually coming back after so long and still be able to fight and actually win still. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. And Nigel, I've never had anyone on who has a background in boxing. So can you just share what even fight week is like, and what the overall experience is like, just preparing for something like this?
So fight week is it's stressful but not stressful. You're excited for the fight, but then you're stressing about making weight, and you're thinking are you prepared enough, and there's always doubts, so it's a lot of stress goes into it. But it's not too bad, because I usually I have to do a little weight cut for the fights, but usually I hover around 3 kg over what I fight at anyway, so it's not too bad for me. I might do a little small water load, or reduce my carbs a little bit, increase my fats, and then lower my fiber intake. But usually it's easy enough for me because I don't drop too much.
What weight do you compete at, Nigel?
71 kg.
Okay, 71 kg, and you be walking around. So is it at 74? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I walk around at 75, and then on fight week I'll be 74, and then I lose the last 3 kg that week,
Gotcha.
From just water cut, really.
Yeah.
But I'm just back from Bali now, so I'm 79 kg now. I'm a bit overweight from holidays.
the post holidays, it won't be long falling off yet. And let's just kind of stay in this zone, Nigel. So let's just say you have a fight coming up, or you're scheduled to fight. How much preparation do you need to prepare to be at your absolute best?
So usually I say 6 weeks is good for me. But amateur boxing is a lot different than professional boxing, because amateur boxing, you could say there's a fight in 3 weeks, do you want to fight? Then you're so you kind of have to stay ready all the time.
Sure.
Whereas if you're a professional, you know who you're fighting 3 months before, and then you prepare for 10 weeks, and you do your training phases, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas amateur, you're kind of like have to be in the zone and I feel like fit all the time, really.
Gotcha.
You know,
So
like, yeah.
you're almost staying ready, but let's just say, so hypothetically speaking, there's a fight scheduled for 6 weeks down the line. What would like your overall training regime look like just for those 6 weeks? What would like a typical week of training even be?
Oh, a typical week of training is like, so I box every morning, and then I do strength and conditioning twice a week, and then
Yeah.
I have like 3 conditioning sessions, like sprint sessions, hit sessions.
Yeah.
Like those sessions only last like 20-30 minutes, like where you're going like,
Gotcha.
so I could be like doing 30-second sprints with a 2-minute rest, you know.
Yeah.
And then other ones I could do is like going for 3 minutes with 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off. They're usually my kind of sprint sessions. And then like midweek, I'll try and get a long run, like a recovery run too, just to be doing something, you know, and keeping the fitness up. Yeah. And then Sundays I usually take a day off then. So I'll be training.
Wow.
I train like maybe 11 times a week. So
yeah, that's what I was going to be saying. Like, you know, for amateur boxing, it seems like far from amateur in some ways. I'm curious then, Nigel, how would you how do you recover from all of that volume of training?
A lot of the training is like, the way I design it is one will not affect the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if I'm boxing, like the main goal for me for my legs is just to maintain my leg mass. So I'm not like doing your standard 3x10, you know, and then not be able to walk.
Yeah.
Day, you know. So everything is like designed to not, so I'm not killed every day. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
then recovery for me then would be like just a lot of mobility work, foam rolling, stretching, then like sauna as I go to the weekend and stuff like that, you know.
Class.
Physio as once a week, I guess.
Yeah. And sleep, I'm sure too, and food will go into that as well in a couple of moments, Nigel.
Yeah.
So let's just say now we've done 5 weeks good prep, and now it's 5 weeks. Do you scale things back then? Would say the fight on the Saturday. What does typical fight week look like?
Yeah, so in fight week then I'll do like a little taper off, and we'll be doing like a lot of speed work to optimize performance, you know, like punch specific exercises, stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it's all like mimicking fight without lower intensity, but like mimicking fight, what you're going to do in the fight, you know.
Yeah. And how much preparation, Nigel, would you do on your opponent?
None. You like,
is there any video analysis really, or
no? So an amateur, you just get a name.
Yeah.
And that's it. But like, you have to stop yourself from searching this guy on Instagram, you know, because you get in your own head then, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might, because all you have is like, you'll always have is videos of him hitting pads or something. Sure. And then you can see a video of hitting pads, it might look like a gun on the pads, and you're like, oh shit, I have to fight this guy now, you know. And then you might be like that in real life, you know.
So do you find what works best for you, so Nigel, is just to go in with a complete open mindset and not like just focus on yourself rather than the opponent?
Yeah, literally I just focus on myself, and like when I'm in training, I always think to myself like, that's what makes me go train, is because like if I'm thinking of like pulling out a session or I'm tired, I'm like, I need to be doing more than this guy, you know, this guy's doing more than me.
Sure.
That's what I tell myself. So I'm like,
I love it.
Pushing, you know what I mean? So that's how I kind of like go with it.
Yeah. And can you just share then what a typical weight cut would look like for you, Nigel?
So yeah, like I said earlier, I was doing like I just hover around 3 or 4 kg over. So usually I might do like 2 days of water cut, then like I'd say if I was drinking 7 liters for 2 days, then I might like half that and drink 3.5, then I might drink 2, 1. Then the day of the weigh-in, I wouldn't drink any water, but I'll be weighing myself, like, and then see how much water I can drink, you know, how much food I can.
Gotcha.
But like amateur boxing is you weigh in the same day, so you can't go too extreme, you know, because you need time to refuel, and if you go too much, you don't have that time.
Yeah.
Whereas professional boxing is you weigh in the day before, so you have full 24 hours to recover.
Okay.
Like sometimes we can weigh in at 10 a.m. and the fight could be or we can weigh in at 8 a.m. and the fight could be at 10 a.m. So it's like not much time to refuel.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not. Yeah.
And do you taper off your carbs then? Do you taper off your carbs the day before with the water weight, or do you like, because you can't really do a huge carb load, I'm sure?
Yeah, you can't do any carb load, but I never drop my calories. I keep my calories the same.
Yeah.
And I'll lower my carbs a little bit, and up my fats. And then, yeah, like I never really need to drop them that low. Like usually the other things I do work. Like I cut sodium out, like all extra sauces, you know, salt and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And fiber, like, you know, like not that much veg. I'll have white rice instead of brown rice, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole water I'll get rid of. That kind of.
Sure. Yeah. So more like dry carbs and reduce the fiber. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've done something similar. Like obviously not a weight cut as such, but I did do like a photo shoot. What
Yeah.
bodybuilders would call a peak week, my own kind of version of that, and the process was
Similar
something
enough.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
similar
Yeah.
enough.
Like
Yeah.
you load up in water at the front half of the week. You keep your carbs super low. You do your glycogen depleted workouts, and then as you taper off towards the cut itself or towards the photo shoot, you lower down the water, you increase the carbs, and you reduce the fiber, and it's just like it's something
Yeah.
similar to what you're describing there. It's
Yeah.
not the most pleasant
Yeah.
experience at times, Nigel.
No, not at all. No, no. And then like it makes it harder then if my wife, like, she's sitting beside me eating lovely dinners and there's me, like, do you know what I mean? Just getting jealous of her.
That's the power of environment too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
And what do you have like a pre-fight song that plays for you, Nigel?
Yeah, well, see some amateur fights that have to just be like in a hall, you know, just a ring in a hall. That'd be like straight out. But some of them are like, they're called league fights, or they be on like nighttime a big show. So the song I go for is that Shipped Up to Boston. Do you know that song?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the Irishness going, you know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, bring up my flag
Conor,
and stuff. So it's good.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I know McGregor used that for his intro with it was Dennis Seaver, I think it was. And that just for me, like, honestly, when I see like a boxer or a MMA fighter enter the ring and they're doing the walk, I just get like shivers going up my freaking spine. I'm like, oh my God, how nervous would you be? Like you're literally preparing to box the head off someone.
Yeah.
Like what enters your mind as you're just walking towards the ring, Nigel?
It's a weird feeling. It's like it's hard to, like, you're nervous, you're excited. It's like anticipation's everything in one, you know, and it's hard to explain. It's it's just like it's like a good feeling and it's shit feeling. You're like, oh, you're walking out. You're like 1 second I'm like, okay, lovely, like can't wait for this fight, and then halfway down the walk I'm like, oh fuck, you know, I'm actually
This is about to happen now. There's no hiding. Yeah,
but then as soon as like you get in the ring, like you meet in the middle, like with the ref, and the ref tells you the rules, you go back to the corner,
sure,
and you're still kind of nervous then, but then you go out and throw one punch and it's all gone, all the nerves. Like you're just in there, like I can't even hear the crowd anymore. Just all I see is hitting the guy in front of me. That's it.
Yeah. Like, well, obviously, you know, GA is obviously a team sport, but even I found the same. Like, you'd be nervous leading up to the game. In the warm up, you're kind of in your own routine. Walking out the tunnel, then the nerves can kind of creep in. But once the ref throws the ball and you get your first touch, it's just like, right, game is on now. Let's just get on with it. I can resonate with that. And tell me then, Nigel, what have been some of your personal highlights in the ring itself? Have you ever had any knockouts or anything like that, Nigel?
Well, I actually, in my third fight here, I actually knocked a guy out, but then I got disqualified for an illegal punch. So, it was a bad call by the ref. Like, I threw a left hook and then a right hand, but the referee was standing on the wrong side, and he thought I slapped the guy with the inside of my glove.
Yeah.
So that was a bit disappointing, but like, that was a knockout. But probably the best, my biggest achievement, it might sound like much to anyone else, but it's probably coming back after like 12 years. Like, I actually never thought I'd ever fight ever again, you know. And then to come back for 12 years and like I've won all my fights here, like I haven't lost here yet. So to come back and win and like win it against younger guys, you know, that's like probably one of the biggest achievements, like personal achievements, that kind of thing.
Fulfillment. Proving to yourself that you can do something that maybe previously you didn't think was possible.
Like a few years ago, like when you're playing GA, you're going, like, you're socializing, you're drinking, like you think you'd never fight again. Then you come back here and like the last 2 years I've barely gone out, you know. I was trained.
Yeah.
And now like to come back and win fights and being fighting at a good level as well, So that's probably one of the biggest, fulfillment kind of things. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Inner satisfaction, man. That's just something I can really resonate with. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who say, why bother take a rest day? But if it's something that gives you fulfillment and if that allows you to feel good about yourself and win the day, by all
Yeah.
means, just go for it. Same for our listeners here. Who's to say that you can or can't do anything? If you want to do something, you don't need to ask for permission. Just freaking go for it.
Yeah,
Go
that's
all
it.
in that one thing and you'll see rewards, just like Nigel has been seen with his boxing. And there's so many correlations here, Nigel, but let's just kind of pivot then. We'll say with strength work then. What's your overall training philosophy when it comes to the gym?
For training myself.
Yeah, I guess for yourself and maybe just some of the clients that you work with too, Nigel.
Yeah, so like the training philosophy for myself is like completely different to the training philosophy for my clients.
Sure.
So like
different goals,
yeah. So like I actually like qualified as a strength and conditioning coach first. That's what I originally wanted to do. Because I love sports, I love boxing, so I wanted to train that. But then as I went on and I started training people, most people just wanted to do like bodybuilding style, fat loss, all that kind of stuff. So like you kind of go like where your business is going, you kind of have to go, kind of way.
Sure.
And so with me, like my training philosophy is like I want to increase my RFD, retain lower body mass, like like core strength, rotation, upper body strength, and speed. That's all my kind of work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to mind, like, but when I train my clients, it's all like they have their programs, they have their rest days. It's completely different. Like, whereas I'm training myself like twice a day, I'm telling them people to take rest days. So it's like contradicting kind of, but
it is and it isn't, because your work capacity is just so much higher because you've done the reps for over 12 years. It's like preparing for a marathon. You don't just start out and run the 42 kilometers. You build it up. You do your 5K, your 10K, your half, and you slowly go from there. I'm a big believer, Nigel, because I really like your content, man. But I treat everyone as if they're an athlete, even if they're not a field athlete or they're not playing any competitive sport. I believe everyone in their own right are athletes to some degree. And it's not to say that like I'm getting just a beginner do like a box jump or a max effort deadlift, but I still believe that like they're so important that you not only train to look good, but also move good too. And that you're not just stiff, sore, tired for the other 23 hours in the gym. Like you just want to be functional. I don't really like that term functional, but you know what I mean? You want to be able to actually use your strength
move when you
and
need
just, you're like, I often wonder what's the point of looking so good, but then being out of, and everyone to their own, but just then being out of breath, walking up a flight of stairs, or having to take a break when you're carrying the groceries from the supermarket into your car. So I love like combining obviously strength work, a bit of muscle building work, but then depending on the client too, let's try to improve your aerobic fitness so you're actually feeling a bit fitter. Let's get you moving better too, so you're not sore, stiff, tired getting up out of the bed. And that's just something that comes across from your content, Nigel, that you seem to have a real holistic approach rather than just focusing on one specific thing.
Yeah, because I really hate when people say like I know you don't need to do cardio like for anything, like you don't. Why I really don't like when people say like, oh, don't worry about cardio, no, just lift your weights. Because like what you just said, like what's the point of looking good if you can't walk up a flight of stairs, or if you need to run for the bus and you can't, you know what I mean, you can't make it to the bus.
Absolutely.
Then that's just normal day-to-day things, and a lot of people can't do that, like. So I agree with everything you said. That's very true.
Man, I think cardio, it's freaking overrated for actual weight loss. Like people, I want to lose weight. The first instinct is I'm going to do 45 minutes on the treadmill 3 times a week, or go for a 5K run, go for a spinning class, a cycle. But it's so underrated just for your health, for your longevity, for your actual overall fitness. So I think if people, it's kind of like a catch-22 here, but if people make the shift of doing cardio from a health and longevity perspective as opposed to just from a fat loss perspective, I think it's really, really powerful. The problem becomes when people just do cardio to lose weight and then they neglect the strength. But it's like
Yeah,
you have to have that balance too much of
happy
one
medium.
and not enough another. It's that happy medium, man. How do you specifically, so Nigel, like, because you've got to incorporate a lot of stuff. So like you need to have power, aerobic fitness, strength, build a bit of muscle too. What does, we'll say now you're in the off season, what would like a typical split for you look like then?
Like in my phases and stuff.
Yeah, let's just say you've no kind of fight prepared.
Oh
There's
yeah.
nothing upcoming. What would your like typical week, would that vary? Would you still spar 6 times a week, or would you
Yeah.
slightly overload in the strength side?
Uh, yeah. So say it was like I'm not planned for say 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Then I'd be doing like strength phase, but like focusing on producing force, you know. So I'd be doing like 5 reps, 4 sets, that kind of stuff. And then and then sparring, I'd be doing like sparring, say on a Friday and a Tuesday. I usually just spar like once or twice a week.
Gotcha.
And then I still do my boxing every single day. So it's kind of like it's very repetitive, my stuff.
Sure.
While I don't have a fight booked in. But once the fight booked in, then say if I know a fight in 6 weeks, then I'll start adding in my max strength week for 2 weeks. Then I'll do my like 4 weeks of strength speed. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha. So you're going along the curve.
Exactly. And then I'll do like that week we talked about earlier on, the taper week, where I just worked on like boxing specific, like all speed work and just lowering intensity. So it's kind of like, I'm focusing on the strength work while I've nothing booked in. But if I know if something booked in, then I'll go through like mini phases, let's say.
I gotcha. That makes
it's hard to do like full phases. You just have to like
yes.
Do you know what I mean? So
and what are some of your go-to exercises then, Nigel, for the clients that you train? Do you have any like kind of staples that you like to work with?
I like to just base everything off the basics, to be honest. Like I love to like base everything around like your squat, your hinge, your pull, all that kind of stuff. And like squats and deadlifts. And then I do like mostly just accessory work. But my favorite would be like deadlifts. I love seeing people like strong at deadlifts and seeing people like press and get strong. So that's like, I think it's more rewarding seeing people like get strong than worrying about what they look like and stuff, you know. So I like seeing people get strong with deadlifts and their squat improving and their bench improving, you know. It just takes the focus of always being like, oh, I want to look like this, I want to look like that. Do you know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Yeah, and people come to you, I'm sure, same with me, saying they have a goal weight in mind or they want to look, as you said, a certain way. But then a couple of weeks in, they're like, oh, you know, my deadlift now, I just hit three figures there. I'm up to 100. Or in the squat, I'm over 80 kilos, something I never thought I'd done before. Just like with you, taking that 12-year gap in your boxing, you never thought you'd get back. And that's just the power, I guess, of having something structured from a coach where you have that overload, you have that guidance, and you have the knowledge to go with it, Nigel. So that's awesome. I'm somewhat similar. I always say, Nigel, focus on your performance, focus on getting stronger in the gym, improving your lifts, improving your numbers. And guess what usually happens then? You actually will naturally start to look better, even though it's a different. Exactly, man.
By accident, you know.
Yeah. I think we're definitely aligned in that. And just talk to me then, Nigel, in relation to nutrition. Like, what's your overall nutrition philosophy? Are you a fan of meal plans, or is it more like dependent on the lifestyle?
When I started out first, I was all about the meal plans, you know, like everyone was, I suppose, when they started, like. But now I'm kind of gone away off that way, and now it's just like I give them calories and macros, and what I give them is like 20 meal ideas, like 7 breakfasts, 7 lunch, and 7 dinner options, you know. So now they can, and all the calories and macros beside them, and they can just pick whichever ones they want for the day, you know.
I love it. Rather
than that strict thing of like, oh, I have this tomorrow, I have this tomorrow, I have this, you know, same thing over and over again. Because it sounds good for people, like I want a meal plan to stick to that, but then when they get it after like 2 weeks, they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore, you know. Just it's too rigid, I find. But again, everyone's different, like
like it's not to say there isn't a place for meal plans. Like if you're an elite performing athlete now, and someone who you
Yeah,
got to
like
be so on point with your weight. You know,
like
there is
my
definitely a time and place for that.
yeah, like me myself now, I eat mainly the same things like
Yeah.
every day. Like, and I have my meal times, you know, like after training, before I train again in the evening, when I come back from training,
Yes.
and it's mostly the same. Like I have 3 meals, go-to meals. I might like every second or third day I'll change it up,
Yeah.
but they're mostly the same, and they're mostly the same macros. You know, it's
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
What would your
what works for
typical
me,
day look like for you, Nigel?
eating wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, my first meal would usually be like I'd have eggs, avocado, 2 slices of wholemeal bread, blueberries, and tomato. That's like my first meal. And then second meal then is usually like I'd have chicken with quinoa, like heaps of veg, like walnuts, or I could have like homemade beef burger as well with homemade chips. That's kind of like my
I love
two.
it. Yeah.
And then at nighttime, then I have like my chicken, potato, whatever sauce, and just a protein bar.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Three good like lean source of protein there, the protein bar and top then to kind of cure the sugar craving. What are some of
That's what
the
you do.
yeah. What are some just finding in nutrition, what do you feel are some of the misconceptions that you run into as a coach, Nigel, when you're working with your clients around food?
So probably the biggest one now is like a lot of people thinking like all calories are equal, you know, and like in theory, a calorie is a calorie, but
Yeah.
what the food is made up of is important too.
Sure.
And like it's obviously it's good to like have treats in like or if it fits your macro, I know that. But I think some people nowadays take that a bit too far. Whereas like almond croissant for breakfast, pancakes for I know this is extreme, but like pancakes for lunch or like ice cream for
Sure.
dinner, just
Yeah.
because it fits your macros. But like yeah, you can lose weight that way, but you're like your mood is gonna be shit, your sleep is gonna be shit, your performance is gonna be, you know, all these things like so. I think that's one like I remember like one client I was telling her like to have a little bit of avocado every day. And she's like, oh, that's a waste of calories. I'd rather have like a Snickers at night.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you need to have your treats, but you can't say like avocado is waste because that's proper food made up of vitamins, you know, minerals, whereas
Yes.
Snickers, you know, but you still need to have the nice things, but you can't just take out something healthy to replace it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. I think it's a tricky one with food, I find, because like calories are king, and then below the calories, your protein. If you are hitting your calories and your protein, they obviously are two big targets there. But I also think there's danger of just looking at foods through one lens of just
Yeah.
calories. Like there's
Like looking at
much
food
more
as
to an
numbers.
avocado. There's much more to an avocado than 160 calories.
Yeah.
Just like there's much more to maybe a teaspoon of olive oil than 120 calories. It's like, or there's
Yeah.
much more. Then there's the other side is like people saying you don't eat fruit because fruit contains a lot of sugar. And sure, like there is fructose, but there's so much more minerals, vitamins in it
Yeah.
too that that people aren't accounted for. So I'm something similar. I like the 80-20 principle.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
As you know yourself, yeah, like, but the misconception I find with the 80-20 principle, Nigel, is let's just suppose now that people think that it's okay, 80% of your foods, but it's actually 80% of your calories you should try get from whole foods. Because let's just say you had 10 foods in one day, and 8 of them were just all whole foods, your chicken breast, your apple, your veggies, and so on. But then 2 of those foods were, we'll say, a large fries and a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. Now, technically, in theory, on paper, that's the 80-20 principle, because you've got 2 foods which we call processed, and you've got 8 foods which are whole foods. But it's
Yeah.
80% of your calories. So if you have 2,000 calories a day, ideally you want 1,600 of them to come from that 80% and 400 to come from what we call the processed foods. But just going by that analogy alone, like a large fries and a double cheeseburger in frickin' McDonald's,
Yeah.
and you're having 2,000 calories a day, that's definitely way more than 400 in that. So I
You're
think
talking
it's just,
50%
as you
nearly.
said, it's 100%, man. It's just that misconception.
Yeah. Yeah, that's is the best way of looking at it because yeah, 80-20, like I said, like if you go 20% of your food, like you could have like a big dairy milk there, like you were saying, and that's like 1,000 calories. There's your calories gone, you know. But in your head, it's only one thing. But, you know what I
Hundred
mean?
percent,
Yeah.
100%, man. Yeah. So, and this is something I guess our listeners will learn over time, but that's definitely, I feel, a misconception on my end. The 80-20 principle, it's for 80% of your calories, not 80% of your foods. There is a
Yeah.
difference. Nigel, let's just kind of go quickly into a bit of a quick fire. We'll ask a few rapid questions, and then we'll call it a day, my man. So, firstly, what's one new habit that you've implemented since last year?
What? Sorry, say that again.
One new habit, Nigel, you've implemented since last year.
Um, Probably getting to bed a bit earlier and no phones before bed. Because I used to be terrible for laying laying the bed on my phone, and the next thing, close my eyes are flicking around my head, and like taking hours to go to sleep. But now, once I come home from work in the evening, I throw the phone on charge and it stays there until the next morning. So that's probably one of the best habits I've done now in a while.
I like it, man. What's the best book you've read in this year, Nigel?
I actually only finished it recently. Is Tim Grover's book. It's called Relentless.
Brilliant.
He's
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's strength coach, and he's a mindset coach. I thought that was very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone saw The Last Dance on Netflix, Tim Grover features in that too. Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's brilliant.
He's another book too, Winning. I read, I think last year. It's
I have it. Yeah, I'm reading that next now.
Yeah, I think Relentless though is a bit better in my opinion. But yeah,
Is it?
he's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. When you hear the word successful, Nigel, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Um, Probably Floyd Mayweather. That's like one of my favorite sports person, and like he's made it both in fighting and business. So he's someone I
Unreal.
always followed my whole life. So that's
Yeah.
probably the first one.
Is he 50-0 or is it 51?
50-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, unreal.
Wow. Unbelievable. What's your favorite movie, Nigel?
Oh, so many. Probably Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Them three films. Yeah.
Gotcha. What do you feel, Nigel, is the most underrated gym exercise that most people don't do enough of?
Underrated. Probably single leg RDLs, I reckon.
Yeah.
For me.
Brilliant.
Because you never see many people doing those. So
Yeah.
they're so beneficial.
Very effective.
Especially if you're involved in sports and stuff. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it, Nigel. I feel we covered a lot here. Everything from your backstory, your strength work, your boxing, a bit of nutrition there as well. For all our listeners out there, what are 1 to 3 takeaways you'd like our listeners to implement?
Probably what we just talked about the misconceptions with food. So, like, try to get into that more whole foods, and like think that if it fits your macros, it's not a diet. It's just a way of implementing stuff into your diet. Second thing I'd probably say is, everyone get your cardio and like a little bit of conditioning every week. Like, weights are great, but it's not the only thing. There's much more to health and fitness than just lifting weights. And probably last thing would be like, if you think you want to do something, just do it. Like I waited 12 years to have a fight since my last fight. So if you want to do something, you can just do it. And that's it really. These are my 3 things.
Yeah, I love it, man. Nigel, I really want to acknowledge you for coming on that way. I love your message. I love the style of training that you do. You put out great content there, technique videos, what your current training split is like, videos of your clients who performing in the gym. It really comes across as just, it's a real holistic approach to training there, Nigel. So just want to acknowledge you for that. So for all our listeners out there, Nigel, who want to learn a bit more about you and what you offer, where is the best place that they can find more about you?
Yeah, so best place is on my Instagram, Nigel O'Brien Health and Fitness. That's really all I post, like really just on Instagram.
Nigel O'Brien Health and Fitness.
Yeah, that's it.
I gotcha. I'll post a link in the show notes, Nigel. Final 2 questions I ask all our guests. I'm big into morning routines, Nigel. I'm just curious, what did the typical 30 to 60 minutes of your day look like?
First 36, yeah. So I get up in the morning, yeah, have a shower, brush my teeth, then I'd have like a glass of water, then I'd go straight to PT, and then yeah, I'll do PT for 2 hours. Then I'll have something small to eat before I go train at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's my
I love it.
usual couple of hours there in the morning.
All rapid go there. And finally, this is the Lifestyle Lifter Show, Nigel. So what is your definition of living a successful lifestyle?
Probably just to be happy as you can, you know. Like whatever you do, if you're going to do something, you know, do it 100%, and just yeah, that's it really. Like try to be happy as you can while doing all the stuff you love. Like that's for me really. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, fulfillment. Something Brian Kane spoke about, and it really resonated with me. He just said, make a list of all the stuff that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And just try freaking tick off all those boxes every day.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
when you simplify it down.
Yeah, that's it. You take it a day at a time.
Simplify it down.
Yeah. That's it. It's great.
Yeah, that's really it. Nigel, thanks so much for coming on to the Lifestyle Lifter Show. And for all the listeners out there, if you did get value from it, please pay the small fee that we ask. And the small fee is tag me, tag Nigel on your IG stories at Nigel O'Brien Health and Fitness. I'm at Mac Lifestyle Fitness. Share it on your stories or just tell a friend. Podcasts generally grow through word of mouth, and that's from the lifestyle listeners like you, sharing the good words and spreading the vibe. So I appreciate everyone for listening. Nigel, thanks for coming on, and pleasure is mine.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on. And yeah, I really enjoy the same to you with your content. It's very good, like similar enough to me. So I just want to say thanks for having me on, and you keep up the good work as well. So
appreciate it, man. Nigel, pleasure as always. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.